Hello.
Break the gavel.
Good evening, members of the Board of Education. Good evening, members of the public. The Monroe Township Board of Education reorganization meeting is now called to order. Would you please join me with a pledge of allegiance to the United States of America? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will now proceed with a roll call. Mrs. Antelis? Mr. Braverman?
Here.
Mr. Chiarella?
Here.
Mr. Kaufman?
Here.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mrs. Koloponowicz?
Here.
Mr. Leary?
Here.
Mr. Masters?
Here.
Mr. Tessler?
Here.
Mrs. Ferroni? Members of the Board of Education, we have a quorum present this evening. In accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law, the Monroe Township Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted May 6, 2011, at all schools, in the Home News Tribune, Cranberry Press, and filed with the clerk of the municipality. The election results and the agenda have been provided and are on the table out in the hallway. It is now my duty to administer the oath of office to the following individuals who should join me at the table in front: Mrs. Antelis, Mr. Chiarella, Mrs. Ferroni, and Mrs. Koloponowicz. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and this state under the authority of the people, so help me God. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of member of the Board of Education, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of that office according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations.
She'll be here. You notice she never comes on time.
We just got a bunch of updates. We just got a bunch of updates. So we just got a bunch of updates today. You know, the word or email, we just got it.
Number 7 on the agenda is the election of board president. At this particular time, we will take nominations for the office of board president. Is there anyone that wishes to make a nomination at this point?
I would.
Mr. Klein?
I would like to nominate Kathy Kay as our next president.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Kaufman?
I got a vote.
Do we have a second motion for president?
John Leary, seconds.
Do we have a second nominating Mr. Leary for president?
No, I'm supporting.
Oh, we have a second already for,
Okay.
okay.
I withdraw my prior statement.
So noted. Do we have any other nominations for president? If none, say at this point, I would like to entertain a motion to close the nominating procedure.
So moved.
Mr. Kaufman?
Second.
Mr. Tesler? The nominating process has now been closed. I'll now proceed with an alphabetical roll call in terms of Kathy Koloponowicz serving as president of the Board of Education. A yes would indicate a vote for Kathy Koloponowicz. Mrs. Antelis?
Yes.
Mr. Braverman?
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella?
Yes.
Mrs. Ferroni?
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mrs. Koloponowicz?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Tesler?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Want me to switch seats? Okay. Order. You want your computer? Okay. Before we go into the election for vice president, I'd just like to say a few words. First, I'd like to thank the board for giving me the opportunity to lead. It is always an honor and a privilege to represent the Board of Education. And I'm not going to make any promises to anybody except that I will promise to do this job to the best of my ability. I know that it's been a difficult time the last few weeks with the defeated budget and some differing personal issues, but I know that when everybody walks through this door on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, that those issues are left behind, and that we all work together for the benefit of children, because we're all here to educate children. Doesn't mean we need to agree on everything, but we need to respect the opinions of others, not just the board members, but the members of the public. I'd like to congratulate Mr. Chiarella on his election and his winning a second term. And I'd like to do the same to Amy and welcome her back to the board. I'd also like to acknowledge Kathy Leonard and her 15 years of service to the board. She has been an advocate, as most of you might know, for special education. And as we saw in last month's meeting, we're doing a really good job in that area. And lastly, I would like to thank Lou for his term on the board as president this past year, and for the leadership you have shown all of us. So thank you very much. At this time, we'll go to number 8 on the agenda, the election of the board vice president. I will open the floor for nominations for the position of vice president.
I do.
Mr. Masters,
I'd like to nominate Ken Chiarella.
is there a second?
I second it.
Mr. Klein? Are there any other nominations for the position of vice president? Seeing none, I will close the election for vice president. And at this time, we will have a roll call for the position of vice president for Mr. Ken Chiarella.
A yes would indicate a vote for Ken Chiarella for vice president. Mrs. Antelis?
Yes.
Mr. Braverman?
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella?
Yes.
Mrs. Ferroni?
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mrs. Koloponowicz?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Tesler?
Yes.
Madam Board President, Ken Chiarella has been elected vice president.
Well, congratulations, Ken. I don't know if you would like to say a few words, or we just...
Well, I would just like to thank the board, but I also would just like to take 1 second and just thank the voters, obviously, for the election results, and to congratulate Amy on her return to the board, and obviously Kathy, your win. And I just thank you guys. I do appreciate that. It's very humbling.
Thank you. We'll go to number 9, closed session resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Township of Monroe hereby moves to go into closed session in accordance with Sunshine Law, Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 to discuss the following subjects: personnel, non-renewals, personnel, superintendent's evaluation, legal, counsel advice, OPMA. The discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public at such time as the matters have been resolved. Is there a motion and a second?
Second.
That's Mr. Kaufman and Mr. Tesler. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, at this time, we will go into closed session. Okay. At this time, the board will reconvene into public session, and we'll go to number 10 on the agenda, organizational items. A, meeting dates. Be it resolved that the regular meetings of the Board of Education of the Township of Monroe shall be held as per the attached schedule at 7:00 p.m., at which time formal action may be taken. Need a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Chiarella? Mr. Tesler? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I have a question.
Oh,
Is it included anywhere in this packet? Because I didn't see the list of meeting dates in here.
It was handed out.
it had been handed out?
It was handed out.
Yeah.
An email.
Was it,
Okay, great.
was it emailed to us yesterday, to everybody?
Yes. It was emailed.
Do you want to hold off the vote before?
No, I'd just like a copy of it.
Okay, we'll get you a copy. Thank you. We would go to B, policy. Be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Township of Monroe that all policies of the previous board are hereby adopted until such time as the board decides to revise or otherwise alter policies. Motion and a second, please.
I make the motion.
Mr. Klein?
I second.
Mr. Leary? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Motion passes.
Mrs. Kay, can you just go back to the meeting dates? I don't know if that vote was fully executed.
Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor of the A meeting dates?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And abstentions? Okay, seeing none, we've passed A, we've passed B. C, designation of banks or depositories. Be it resolved that the Board of Education designates the following banks or depositories for school district funds: TD Bank, Commerce Bank, PNC Bank, the Depository Trust Company, State of New Jersey Cash Management Fund, Wells Fargo, previously Wachovia, New Jersey Asset and Rebate Management, Provident Bank, JP Morgan Chase,
So moved.
with Wells Fargo providing most of the banking services. Be it further resolved that the business administrator is authorized to establish accounts and wire transfer funds among the accounts as needed and approve the payments of bills between board meetings. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Chiarella, Mr. Klein? Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Then the motion has carried. We will go to D, newspapers for legal advertisements. Be it resolved that the Board of Education designates the Cranberry Press, Home News Tribune, or the Asbury Park Press, all of which circulate in the school district, as official newspapers for legal advertisement. Motion?
Motion.
Mr. Leary, second by Mr. Tesler. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Then number D has passed, and we will go to number 11 on the agenda, data review presentation of the Saturday Academy in Avid. I will turn this over to Dr. Hamilton.
Okay, thank you, Madam Board President. I had the opportunity to study year-round schooling and extended schools across the country and even internationally, and there has been some significant benefits for extending the school year or the school experience. And when I came into the district, we talked about implementing a Saturday Academy as part of the superintendent's action plan, which we developed in order to help ramp up instruction for students who either needed an academic boost or students in the high school who needed an opportunity for credit restoration in order to satisfy high school graduation requirements. So this evening, I've asked some of our staff members to facilitate a preliminary review of the program's data to see if, in fact, it has been a wise investment in use of our time and resources. So at this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Scott Metropeller and Mr. Jim Higgins if they will provide us with a presentation reviewing the data relative to the Saturday Academy.
Good evening. My name is Jim Higgins. I'm program coordinator of the Oak Tree Saturday Academy. The Oak Tree Saturday Academy serviced our middle and elementary schools. It was broken down into 3 cycles. Cycle 1 ran from October through December. Cycle 2 ran from January through February. And Cycle 3 ran from March through May. We had the benefit of being able to service 352 elementary and middle school students throughout the course of the year in the Oak Tree Saturday Academy. Early on in the Saturday Academy, during the selection process, we collaborated with all the building principals and their administrative teams, asking them to select students they felt would benefit from the Saturday Academy at Oak Tree. Students were identified at the school level by child study team members, by guidance counselors, by case managers, and by teachers. When I received as program coordinator the list from each school, I reviewed the data and began sending out invitations. Those invitations came back either accepted, the parents would like to participate, or declined. Based on the enrollment, further invitations were sent out to ensure that as many students as we can took part in this program. Once rosters were set, as program coordinator, I reviewed the data for each student to determine whether the student should be enrolled in math and language arts, or a double dose of one. A double dose means they came into 2 math sessions or 2 language arts sessions due to what was seen in their testing data or recommendations from the school. We had very specific expectations of our staff on Saturdays. The first priority for our staff, once they received their rosters, was to reach out to the students' regular teachers. Those are the teachers that they have during the week. The reason for this is those teachers could give my Saturday staff a more holistic picture of the students, give them some idea of weaknesses and strengths they could work on Saturdays. The second expectation was to establish and build a bridge to our parents of the Saturday Academy students. This we felt was important because it's only through partnership with the parents that we can truly maximize and create an efficient form of instruction for our students, and we wanted the parents to be our partners. Contact was made either by emails, weekly letters home, or phone calls. We made sure that Saturday Academy was a rigorous program. Instructional strategies such as small group instruction, differentiation, learning stations, and integration of technology was expected to be the norm in each class. Each staff member, both formally and informally, over the course of the year, met with myself as program coordinator to review student data, their instructional strategies being used, and to review the progress chart that was inclusive of pre- and post-assessment data, and that every teacher had to keep on every student. Weekly lesson plans were submitted and reviewed, and teachers with their grade level counterparts worked on study habit sessions. This was a 30-minute break, and when I say break at 30 minutes, they would go to LAL in the morning, take 30 minutes to work on study habits, and then go to their math or vice versa. During these study habit sessions, the students would work on age-appropriate techniques and strategies such as organizational skills, time management, test prep, and so on. When we looked at the data, we first had to establish how we're going to find this authentic data. Authentic data comes from having a pre-assessment that each student was given on the first day of each cycle, and a post-assessment that was given on the last day of each cycle. Through the pre- and post-assessment, we were able to chart how well the students did on an individual basis. And the preliminary data that we compiled shows us that our students in math, 78% of the students showed an increase in their math achievement. In language arts literacy, 80% showed an increase in their language arts literacy, both reading and writing. When we moved to the soft data, which was basically testimonials, we get input from students and parents over the course of the year, and some of it, we like to keep on record. I won't read all of them to you, but I'll just read a few. This is from an 8th grade student. On the NJASC, I found I wrote more and underlined more than I expected because of what I learned. Too bad this is the last cycle because I really enjoyed it. From a parent, I wanted to thank you for your time with Joe over these 2 cycles. What began as the dreaded Saturday Academy actually began something he looks forward to. And then lastly, from a 5th grade student, we did a lot of fun and exciting things in Saturday Academy. We wrote business letters, persuasive writing, readers theater, synonyms and antonyms, main ideas, and story prompts. I love the Saturday Academy. So this gives us a feel, aside from the hard data, of what the students and the parents feel about our efforts. And now I'm going to throw it to Mr. Madriperla from the high school.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins. My name is Scott Madriperla. I'm assistant principal at Monroe Township High School and also the program coordinator for the Monroe Township High School Saturday Academy. I've been asked to give a brief overview of the program and some preliminary data results from our program, and I'm going to do that so we can get to the good stuff and recognize our fabulous teachers here in the district. But having said that, I just want you to know that up here on this table I brought 3 binders that represent a compilation of information from 3 of our cycles this year. We'll see in a moment that we had 2 cycles last year, and we have a pending cycle that's starting actually this Saturday. These binders are available for viewing actually online. We have the cycle 1. If you go to the district page and go to Saturday Academy, you can view these binders online. Cycle 1 is up already, and we're in the process of getting the others up there. If you want to take a detailed look and see the kinds of things that we were doing, program overview, detailed attendance information, we have lesson plans in there, we have examples of student work. Each Saturday, the students produced a piece for a portfolio. In each of the cycles, they compiled a body of work in the whole program, and that they had the opportunity to take with them as a representation of what they did and what they learned in the program and for future use. So as you see on the first slide, well, you saw the dates of the various cycles. Oh, no, that's not it. There we are. So we had 2 cycles last school year, and we ran 3 so far this year, and the dates are shown, and we're going to run a 4th cycle. Next slide, please. Selection process for our academy, all special education students were invited to attend the enrichment piece of all of the cycles. Special education teachers and child study team members also made phone calls for personal contact to talk to parents and invite students into the program. And in terms of our credit recovery piece, data was compiled from the attendance office indicating those students that needed credit recovery, and they were invited to the program by letter, and also I met with them. We had several different focus for the various cycles in the program. In the spring 2010, cycles 1 and 2, attendance, credit recovery, and/or academic enrichment. Understand that all of the students in the program received rigorous academic enrichment, whether they were there for credit recovery or just to learn and experience new things. Fall 2010, cycle 1, academic enrichment only. In cycle 2, we started taking a look at helping students who were identified to maybe be having some difficulties with standardized testing, and to give them a little push in doing better in the HESPA, and also the end-of-course algebra and biology tests. So we specifically targeted students to invite them into the program and put together work for them to do along with the projects that they were working on to give them a boost in terms of standardized test taking. And we're hoping that that's fruitful with the results coming up after those tests. The students take the end-of-course test. They already took the HESPA, and after they take the end-of-course test, that we see that the kids who were in the Saturday Academy performed well. That's what we're hoping. So attendance credit recovery in spring, cycle 3, or end-of-course algebra or biology test prep, or academic enrichment. In cycle 4, which we're starting Saturday, is attendance credit recovery and/or academic enrichment. Next slide, please. Just to sum up, really, the major goal of all of the cycles of the high school academy to engender student growth in the areas of higher level thinking skills, organizational skills, public speaking skills, test-taking confidence, and student self-discovery through participation in Socratic seminars and authentic learning-based projects, and also to help our district meet AYP. And our teachers, I'm going to speed this up, I want to get to the good stuff, but our teachers went through rigorous training in order to be able to participate in this program in the way we wanted them to teach the kids. And then, of course, certain students were able to get credit back for their general coursework. Next. Some general attendance data. Kids enrolled in credit recovery, 110 total. 66 actually made it through the program. 60% of them got their credits back, attended all of the sessions of a complete cycle. For enrichment, we had 137. Of those, 50% had, 83 had 50% plus attendance for 61%. Next slide. How do we assess the kids? We developed a rubric for our Socratic seminar and authentic projects, and you can see those online in the binders that'll be up there. And I also have samples here for anybody who would like a copy of the scoring rubric that we used for those pieces of the assessment. We also looked at whole cycle results for courses, and we look graphically, kind of looks like the stock exchange a little bit over the years. But we graphed the various courses in terms of how the whole course progressed along the rubric through the 6 sessions of the cycle. I have a copy of that if anybody would like to take a look. In the cycle where we looked at HESPA and EOC tests, improvement, we used a couple different tools. one of them being Study Island. We did pre-formative and summative assessment throughout those courses, and we gathered data, which we used, especially in the formative piece, to focus in on student weaknesses and address those weaknesses so that they would be more confident when those tests came around. And from one course, the math course where they did review for the end of the course algebra test, I compiled a graph showing individual student improvement. It's pretty impressive, actually. I have a copy here if anybody wants to take a look. And we also did a pre and post student program and self-survey, more subjective, how the students felt about the program and what they felt they got out of it. That was online. They took it in the first session, and they took a very similar survey at the end, the last session of the cycle. And we have that data available as well that we took a look at. So that's pretty much it for me. Question?
Yeah, I have a question. This was done through a grant?
Yes.
Okay. When does that end? Or is that ongoing?
I believe it ends August.
In August?
All funds have to be spent by August 31st for them.
Okay, so this was like a grant to test the program, or?
I'm sorry?
Was this a grant to test that particular program?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, I see. And I would just like to say that if you want to ever fund year-round school, I have, my kids are here, I'll volunteer them right now. When you said year-round school, my wife, the smile on her face, I never saw it.
Parents love it, kids not so much.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from members of the board? Okay. Seeing none, we are now going to the Teacher Recognition Awards. And this is probably one of our most favorite times of the year because we get to honor the best of Monroe. This year, we are very proud that we are honoring two school nurses, a special ed teacher, a grade 2 teacher, a phys ed teacher, an industrial arts teacher, and a Spanish teacher. And we had an opportunity to invite them to an excellent reception before this meeting with our culinary arts department put together for us. And it's just so wonderful to see exactly what is going on and how wonderful our teachers are. So at this time, I believe we have a plaque presentation for them.
Yes. You can join me at the mic. We'll be presenting. We're good? We're good? Okay. We will be presenting a certificate from the Department of Education, which reads the 2011 Governor's Teacher Recognition Educational Services Professionals Program awards this certificate of recognition for demonstration of excellence as a teacher educational services professional in the New Jersey Public Schools by creating an environment that improves students' academic opportunities, workforce preparedness, and overall quality of life. And this is signed by our Acting Commissioner of Education and our Governor. And then from the Board of Education, yes.
Monroe Township. Still taller than me. Monroe Township School District honors Susan Talaka as Teacher of the Year in deep gratitude for your commitment and dedication to the students and staff of Brookside Elementary School, May 11, 2011. The certificate is the same, so we will read the plaque. Monroe Township School District honors John Allen as Teacher of the Year in deep gratitude for your commitment and dedication to the students and staff of Monroe Township High School.
Thank you.
Monroe Township School District honors Bernadette Chin as Teacher of the Year in deep gratitude for your commitment and dedication to the students and staff of Oak Tree Elementary School. Monroe Township School District honors Misty Corbacero as Teacher of the Year in deep gratitude for your commitment and dedication to the students and staff of Woodland Elementary School.
You got it upside down.
That's spelled like that. Get it?
Got it?
Thank
Okay.
you so much. Monroe Township School District honors Christy DeLuca as Teacher of the Year in deep gratitude for your commitment and dedication to the students and staff of Mill Lake Elementary School. Monroe Township School District honors Douglas Glassmacher as Teacher of the Year in deep gratitude for your commitment and dedication to the students and staff of Applebrook School.
There's two S's on your name. The officer will fix it. Thank you.
Monroe Township School District honors Marianne Monona as Teacher of the Year in deep gratitude for your commitment and dedication to the students and staff of Barclay Grove Elementary School. Oh, me too.
Yep.
Okay. At this time, we will go to Dr. Hamilton with the Champions of Education presentation.
I'd like to take a moment to recognize one of our students who could not be here this evening, but it is still something that I think warrants recognition, and I will ask Mr. Matraperla if he will accept it on behalf of this student. But sophomore Sean Doyle, a two-year varsity golfer, for his heroic acts on April 25th at a varsity golf match. Sean, along with 2 other golfers, were finishing their rounds when a woman from one of the neighboring homes started calling out from her patio for the boys to help. The couple was having dinner when the husband fell from his chair and began choking. The young men, led by Sean, ran over, and when they deemed the man was indeed choking, Sean began the Heimlich maneuver while the other golfers called 911. Sean was eventually able to dislodge the piece of food that was causing the man to choke. He assisted the couple until the paramedics arrived several minutes later. Sean's quick thinking and brave actions should be recognized as we strive as educators to build well-rounded student athletes. So as a superintendent, I'm proud to present this award to Sean Doyle as a Monroe Township Public Schools Champion of Education for going above and beyond the call of duty for the citizens of Monroe Township for the 2010-2011 school year. Your efforts are appreciated. Dr. Kenneth Hamilton, Superintendent of Schools, and Mr. Lou Hoffman, Board of Education President. So, Mr. Support,
It's unfortunate that Sean was not able to be with us this evening, but I hope he might have an opportunity to attend a future meeting. At this time, we will go to our student board members' reports.
To brief on the upcoming events, Applegarth's Spring Chorus Concert will be held here at the Marasco Center on Monday, May 23rd. This Friday, May 13th, Barclay Brook will be holding its PTA blood drive. Monday, May 16th, there will be a PTA meeting at Brookside Elementary School at 7 p.m. The District Art Show will be held at Oak Tree Elementary School at 6:30 on May 17th, and Brookside Science, Talented, and Gifted Night will be on May 18th at 6 p.m. Also, this Friday, Mill Lake Elementary School will hold the 2nd and 3rd grade career day.
Thursday, May 19th, Woodlands Advanced Band will attend the CJMEA Music Festival. There will be a PTA meeting in the Oak Tree Cafe at 7:30 p.m. on Monday, May 23rd. A cultural fair will be held at Oak Tree on Thursday, May 26th. Next Tuesday and Wednesday, grade 9 will be taking a biology end of the course exam, so there will be a delayed opening for grades 10, 11, and 12. Also, Friday, May 20th, MTHS is holding its multicultural fair in the cafe at 6:30. Lastly, all schools will have a half day this Friday, May 13th.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, we will go to number 15 on the agenda, the discussion of the defeated 2011-2012 budget and the adoption of the revised 2011-2012 budget and the resolution of the Monroe Township Council adopting the school budget of Monroe Board of Education. I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Gorski.
Thank you, Madam President. It is recommended that the members of the Monroe Township Board of Education formally accept Resolution Number R-5-2011-129 of the Monroe Township Council adopting the school budget of the Board of Education referred to as Attachment A. Furthermore, it is recommended that members of the Monroe Township Board of Education adopt the revised 2011-2012 budget in accordance with the provisions of Attachment A. Now be it resolved by the Monroe Township Board of Education that the 2011-2012 general fund budget be adopted in the amount of $90,535,829 and a general fund local tax levy in the amount of $80,061,747 and a special revenue fund in the amount of $878,116 and a debt service budget in the amount of $10,471,757 and a debt service local tax levy in the amount of $9,643,475, whereby the 2011-2012 budget totals $101,885,702. And now let it further be resolved that the superintendent of schools and the business administrator board secretary file the required documents with the executive county superintendent of schools.
Okay, I need a motion and a second to accept the resolution.
Motion to accept.
Mr. Leary?
Second.
Mr. Chiarella? Okay, At this time, I'll open it up to the board for comments or questions in regard to the resolution. Mr. Klein?
As we heard at the town council meeting the other day, when they laid out what had to be cut, if you remember, the president of the town council, Jerry Tamburo, mentioned that though the cut was minor, there are many other areas that we should address in controlling our expenses. And I'm not going to go into it now, but even though we are going to vote on this, we must understand that there are other cuts and other safety issues that should be addressed during this coming year. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else from the board wishing to speak? Seeing no one, we will have a roll call on the resolution.
Mrs. Antelis?
Yes.
Mr. Braverman?
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella?
Yes.
Mrs. Ferroni?
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mrs. Koloponowicz?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Tesler?
Yes.
Madam Board President, the Board of Education has adopted unanimously the 2011-2012 budget.
Thank you very much. At this time, we will go to the public forum, and anyone wishing to speak, please come to the microphone. It's not on the agenda. Okay. It's not on the agenda.
Hi, Alan Offenberg, 21.
We're
Yes,
holding
sorry.
off public session for when we need to add something to the agenda. It is recommended that members of the Board of Education approve the tax payment schedule which you were given for the 2011-2012 school year. I need a motion and a second to accept the tax schedule.
So moved.
Mr. Kaufman?
Second.
Ms. Antelis? Comments or questions? We'll have a roll call.
Mrs. Antelis?
Yes.
Mr. Braverman?
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella?
Yes.
Mrs. Ferroni?
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mrs. Koloponowicz?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Tesler?
Yes.
Madam Board President, the Board of Education has unanimously approved the tax payment schedule for the 2011-2012 school year.
Okay, thank you. And now we can go to the public forum. Anyone wishing to speak, please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, Alan Offenberg, 21 Skiba Drive. With the rejection of the budget, including full-time kindergarten, has there been any thought to opening up the KRAT program at the Oak Tree Elementary School, as that actually has the largest amount of elementary school children and kindergartners in the district?
Dr. Hamilton?
Yes, excuse me. No, we have not visited that yet. Now that the budget has been settled, we can begin to have those conversations.
Second question to follow up. With the defeat of the kindergarten program, has there been any thought given to a pay full-time program for kindergarten?
No, that has not been discussed at this juncture.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else from the public?
I'm Doug Boy, 4 Tamarack Road. I noticed that there are lights on the softball field at the Oak Tree School, and so a little questioning helped me to discover that those lights were constructed by the Township Recreation Department. Therefore, I would assume that there was no cost to the Board of Education for that. But my question is, whenever those lights are on, who will be paying that electrical bill for the use of those lights? Because I understand it'll primarily be used by the rec department.
Mr. Gorski?
It is my understanding that the Board of Education is responsible as part of that agreement for the electricity charges for the lights.
Okay, what was that adopted by the board at some board meeting? Because I was not aware that those lights were going up or that we were buying into that sharing of cost.
I would have to research that question for you.
Okay, and some time ago, it may have been myself, I'm not certain, but there was concern about the need for better lighting along Schoolhouse Road where the new high school will be for safety reasons. I haven't noticed any progress being made on that, and here we are almost mid-May with that school year, the new school year coming up within a few months. I would just wonder what is the progress of better lighting along Schoolhouse Road or marked crossing areas, that type of thing?
Dr. Hamilton?
Mr. Gorski will probably be better able to answer that.
The Building Grounds Transportation Committee reviewed several different proposals for safety relative to that crossing on Schoolhouse Road. And part of the business administrator report tonight addresses fencing along that road to provide for safe crossage, along with the lighted illumination for the crossing. But to my knowledge, there has not been any discussion about additional lighting as far as like pole lighting to provide better illumination.
All right, thank you. And I also believe at some past board meeting, one of the residents raised the question of how early the sod and some trees and shrubs have been placed on the new property, particularly in the midst of the heat and drought that we were having. And I have personally noticed that some of those trees and some of the sodded areas, particularly right in front of the main building there, the main entrance, they are in need of replacement, and I assume that that's going to be taken care of at no expense to the board.
Mr. Gorski?
Yes, Mr. Poit. I have in my possession a letter that you're welcome to review after the meeting from Feist Engineering, inspecting the landscaping planting at the above reference project at the new high school site, preparing a punch list for plantings, and a landscaping plan to replace dead trees and shrubs and missing trees and shrubs, which are highlighted in blue on the chart. Most importantly, it will come at no cost to the Board of Education to replace these, as they are warranted by the contractor.
Fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Okay, seeing no one, we will go to the
I
approval.
have somebody coming up.
Oh, okay.
Kathy Slomian, 71 Mayberry Avenue. I had a quick question about the modification to the budget at the council meeting the other night. We eliminated zero-period busing, is that correct?
Mike? Mr. Gorski?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. Zero-period transportation was the last service offered by our Transportation Committee as far as adding additional services to transportation, and that's why that one was one of the items chosen. It also has the least amount of affected stakeholders and residents, and it has consequently a very high dollar price tag with it. So it was a fair and easy target for a cut.
Has there been any discussion about how that could impact the music programs? Or will there be rescheduling of the music programs to just eliminate them out of the zero-period process so that there wouldn't be any impact on children who can't participate for loss of the busing?
We are actually looking at that, and we'll be talking with the principals about that in greater detail. However, at this juncture, our plan is that parents would resume that responsibility as they did prior to the adding of that service. We do, however, want to make sure that the programs do not suffer as a result of that. But it may be one of those things that we won't know until we actually send letters out to our parents notifying them that that service has been eliminated as a district service.
In that notification, though, you will present suggestions or some studies that you would do in terms of rescheduling the programs?
When we speak with the principals and find out what impact that would have on staffing, that may be something that we would introduce at that time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, is there anyone else from the public? Seeing no one, we will go to the approval of the minutes for the Public Board of Education meeting, March 3rd, 2011. Motion, Mr. Chiarella? I need a second by Mr. Masters. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Ms. Antelis is abstaining. Approval of the minutes for the closed session meeting of March 3rd, 2011.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Chiarella, Mr. Tesler, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Ms. Antelis is abstaining. The approval of the minutes for the Special Public Board of Education meeting of March 15th, 2011.
So moved.
Mr. Chiarella? Is there a second by Mr. Tesler? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Ms. Antelis, Ms. Ferroni, and I'm abstaining. The approval of the minutes for the public board meeting of March 23rd, 2011.
So moved.
Mr. Chiarella, Mr. Tesler? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Ms. Antelis and Ms. Ferroni and Mr. Braverman.
So noted.
Okay, approval of the minutes of the closed session meeting of March 23rd, 2011.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Chiarella, who was the first? Mr. Tesler? And Mr. Chiarella, you were the second?
Mr. Klein.
Mr. Klein, okay,
Thought I left.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain. Abstain.
Ms. Antelis, Ms. Ferroni, Mr. Braverman. Thank you. At this time, we will go to the superintendent's report with Dr. Hamilton.
Thank you. Before I get into my actual report, I'd like to take an opportunity to thank Mr. Kaufman for his support during the presidency and Mr. Braverman, who served as vice president. And I'd like to officially welcome back Mrs. Antelis and congratulate both Mrs. Kay and Mr. Chiarella for their appointment to the board. I'd also like to remind the board, I sent you some information earlier that we are offering, Mr. Goodall will be available this Friday at 5:30 for tours of the new high school, just for board members if you are available. When is that? This Friday at 5:30. Mr. Goodall will meet you in the front of the new building. It is in the process. I went through yesterday. The floors were sparkling. Some of the furniture is in place. And we are very pleased to report that we got our temporary TO certificate of occupancy today, as a matter of fact. So we are well on our way to a successful opening. I'd also like to publicly thank Mayor Pucci and Township Council for the manner in which they handled the defeated budget process and their continued support. And I think this is noteworthy because not every community has the kind of partnership that we have with our Township Council, who have worked so well with us to make sure that we are, in fact, working in unison to provide the best services that we can for our students and the residents of this community. So having said all of that, moving on to the superintendent's report, the enrollment report is included in your packet, and again, you can see that despite the current economic conditions in the state, we are still experiencing an increase in our student enrollment. Our out-of-district placement and our home instruction list is also made available to you for review, in addition to our fire drill and lockdown schedule noted as item number 3 on your agenda. Moving on to the personnel items, Madam Board President, it is recommended by the superintendent that personnel items A through U be approved by roll call vote.
Motion to accept the superintendent's report. Mr. Chiarella,
Second.
second by Mr. Tesler. Are there any comments or questions for Dr. Hamilton?
The question?
Ms. Antelis?
Item B, it doesn't say how long she'll be out. Who would be taking Mrs. Virginia's place?
Right now, Mark Goebel is filling in for her temporarily. We expect her absence to be very short-term. But we do not have an exact date of her return, but we don't expect it to be long.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, at this time, we'll have a roll call, Mr. Gorski.
Ms. Antelis?
Yes.
Mr. Braverman?
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella?
Yes.
Mrs. Ferroni?
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes on everything, no on Q.
No on Q, so noted. Mrs. Koloponowicz?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Tesler?
Yes.
Madam Board President, motion passes.
Thank you.
Moving on to board action items. Madam Board President, it is recommended by the superintendent that board action items A through L be approved by roll call vote.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Chiarella, Mr. Tesler, any comments or questions for the superintendent? Then we will have a roll call.
What was that again, please?
Comments or questions for the superintendent?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Where are we?
Here.
From A, is that where it's listing?
The board action items?
Here it is, okay, on D. And I've brought this up many times, and I thought we had an understanding and a policy, and this is on in-school suspensions. I had asked for penalties to be shown on this printout. To be honest with you, I'm sick and tired of seeing multiple violations by the same students for the same thing, not twice, not 3 times, but 6, 7, and 8 times. I'm sick and tired of seeing students cutting after-school suspension. I'm sick and tired of hearing or reading insubordination towards a teacher or a principal. I'm sick and tired of hearing of the fighting, the use of profanity in classes, definitely the use of electrical devices. Nothing in here tells us what the penalties are. My feeling is, you have a student that has multiple violations using an electronic device, I would put it on the floor and step on it. I know we can't do it, but it should be taken away and have his parents or her parents come to school and pick it up. But my opinion is, and it's up to the rest of the board, I want to know what the penalties are that are given. Evidently, they're not strong enough if they keep doing repeated things. And not all these are classified students. The other thing is, with these multiple violations, and these are some students that are in the 12th grade that are supposed to graduate, if they are graduating, and they have so many offenses against them, they should not walk graduation, and they should not go to the prom. Period, cut and dried. It's the only way they're going to learn. So again, I ask, next month when we receive this report, I want to see penalties. I want to know what's being done to try to control these actions by these students. Thank you.
So I can comment?
Dr. Hamilton?
Yes, Mr. Klein, if that is the desire of the full board, perhaps we can revisit that at the policy committee level and make adjustments to our policy to that effect. But due to confidentiality of the nature of some of these offenses and the penalties that are imposed, some of that information in certain instances would be inappropriate to share in that fashion.
Even if we had just to know what the penalty is? You don't know who the student is. We have a student number.
Well, generally, the report will show in-school suspension, out-of-school suspension. Right. Those are the penalties that are assigned to those particular offenses.
But evidently, in-school suspension is not working. You sat at the meeting that I showed what my recommendations were, and I know that there is a book that the principals use. It's not working. And I'm going to look at the printout that I made last year of all the violations and student numbers, and I'll guarantee you the bulk of what we have this year are the same students from last year. It's not working. Either we start getting the parents more involved, but we cannot allow this to go on. It's not right to the teachers. It's not right to the other students. Thank you.
Ms. Ferroni?
What did I do?
Mr. Klein, we did look at those. Most of the recommendations, I think, legally, we can't act on them in regards to punishment, because you did bring it up, right?
Yes.
I mean, I agree with you to an extent. In-school suspension, out of school doesn't necessarily work, but our hands are tied as to what we're able to do legally.
Are we able to get the parents involved? Instead of waiting for a 4th violation, you know, most of your parents are working. And when you start to have a need to have them come to school and sit down with the principal, and they have to lose a day's work, I'm sure they'll get their children to get in line. Hits them in the pocketbook. We should address it. That's all I'm asking.
Every readmit conference, by the way, parents are required to accompany children back to school. For some of the more egregious offenses, either Dr. Gorman or I will attend those readmit conferences. So parents are a part of the process.
Okay, thank you.
Again, this might be something that we have to go through the policy committee and look at the discipline policies that we have. Okay, any other questions for Dr. Hamilton? Then we will have a roll call on the board action items.
Ms. Antelis?
Yes.
Mr. Braverman?
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella?
Yes.
Mrs. Ferroni?
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mrs. Koloponowicz?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Tesler?
Yes.
Madam Board President, board action items A through L passes.
Thank you very much.
That concludes the superintendent's report.
Do you want to stay over?
Yes. There is one other matter. Mr. Leary unfortunately has tendered his resignation as a representative for the Middlesex County Regional Educational Service Commission, and there would need to be an appointment for a representative from this board to serve on that committee. So if someone from the board would entertain a nomination for someone so that we can get a motion on the table.
Senator, Mr. Braverman?
I'd like to nominate Amy Antilles.
I'll second it.
Okay, nominated for Amy Antelis by Mr. Braverman, second by Mr. Klein. Are there any other nominations? Okay, seeing none, then we will have a roll call on the nomination of Amy Antelis as the board rep to the Middlesex Regional Ed Services Commission.
Ms. Antelis?
Yes.
Mr. Braverman?
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella?
Yes.
Mrs. Ferroni?
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mrs. Koloponowicz?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Tesler?
Yes.
Madam Board President, Amy Antelis has been approved as the Middlesex Regional Ed Service Commission representative.
And that concludes the superintendent's report.
Yeah, I just want Amy, congratulations, but you know you have big shoes to fill with Mr. Leary, following Mr. Leary.
I did speak to Mark Finkelstein, the superintendent, who is heartbroken that he is losing one of his best board members. Mr. Leary has done an outstanding, excellent job there, and it's a shame to lose him. And I really do hope I can fill your shoes, John.
John, you have...
I'll be more than happy to work with you, within the physical limitations that I have.
I appreciate that.
Okay, we will now go to the business administrator's report. Mr. Gorski?
Thank you. Madam Board President and members of the Monroe Township Board of Education, it is recommended that board action items A through H be approved by consent roll call.
Motion and a second.
So moved.
Mr. Kaufman? Ms. Antelis? Any comments or questions for Mr. Gorski? Mr. Braverman?
I have a question on item D, the award of the bid for the moving services. I don't quite understand how that's going to work.
Mr. Gorski?
Yes. Teachers will begin packing from June 23rd to June 30th. July 1st through July 31st, the movers will come and do all the moves from the opening of the new high school and all the reconfigurations throughout the district. And in the month of August, the teachers will return to unpack the boxes and arrange their classrooms.
So you're telling me, you're telling us, the contract that we have with the teachers indicates that they're getting paid to pack their stuff, they don't have to move it, and then they're getting paid to unpack their stuff.
There is a sidebar agreement that was approved by the board a few meetings ago.
I know it was the kind of thing that I think most of us weren't aware of.
And it did go through committee as well prior to coming to the board, where we developed a sidebar agreement which provided X number of hours for teachers, depending on their assignment, to pack and unpack their boxes at the beginning and end of the move.
Okay, on the same subject, who is responsible for moving the new furniture that's coming into the new school?
The movers will be responsible, and/or the delivery folks will be responsible for, in addition to our team, depending on what the items are, because we have some large equipment, for example, for the industrial arts program. So your question requires a twofold answer. Some of those items will be handled by the movers. Other items, larger items, will be handled by the manufacturer when they are delivered.
That's correct.
And all in a certain time period.
All within a certain time period, yes.
Any other questions? Mr. Masters?
Item E, the vertical climbing wall, can you just elaborate on that?
Dr. Gorman?
Well, the climbing wall is part of our our curriculum in the current high school physical education program. So this is a bid for the new building to continue that program. It's a connection between physical fitness, motor coordination, challenge-based, self-esteem types of activities for kids. There's also a curricular connection of interdisciplinary towards mathematics, science, and literature. The physical education department will spend the entire year actually being trained in the ropes challenge type of social curriculum aspects of the program.
Okay, anyone else? Mr. Klein?
Just to continue on that, the vertical climbing walls, how much is that? What is it costing us to have it installed and all?
Mr. Gorski, do you have a number on the cost of the vertical climbing wall?
Yes.
$44,635.
Yes, correct. $44,635.
And
Mr. Klein?
on G, which is the fencing, isn't that part of the original bid?
Mr. Gorski?
Thank you. G, the site fencing for the new Monroe Township High School was discussed amongst administration, and we requested a quote from the general contractor for the fencing for the new Monroe Township High School, and the initial request came in at $95,000. It was then further negotiated down to $88,000, at which time the committee decided to put this out to bid. The award, as you could see, comes in at $47,000, which is approximately half the cost of what the general contractor had initially requested. Hence, we are saving public money by bidding it and procuring it ourselves.
Very good, thank you very much.
Any other questions for Mr. Gorski? Seeing none, we'll have a roll call.
Ms. Antelis?
Yes.
Mr. Braverman?
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella?
Yes.
Mrs. Faroni?
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mrs. Koloponowicz?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Tesler?
Yes.
Madam Board President, Business Administrator passes.
Thank you very much. Now we'll go on to the Board President's report, and I spoke before, I just have two things to add to the Board. I'm hoping that the committee preference sheets will go out this week, and if we can get them back within a week or so, then we can form the committees, and then we don't have to miss much time in getting our committee meetings going. So again, I hope to get them out by Friday. And the second thing is that I know a few meetings ago, the board talked about, and we made a motion and a second and it passed, about continuing the fight for equity in school funding with the media and the governor. And if the board does not object, I'd like to continue that conversation and letter writing campaign that Mr. Kaufman had worked on. So if there's no objection, then I would like to continue to do that.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Committee reports, is there any committee that needs to report this evening? No. Okay, seeing none, we will go to other Board of Education business. Anyone from the board have anything they need?
May I?
Mr. Klein.
I will keep this short and sweet. An update on the conversion of Hovnanian. They finalized the hearing, I believe it was a couple of weeks ago, and it was voted down by the planning board, which really means nothing. It turns out that the law, and I think it's the Salmon Act, if that's what it's called, they're more interested in the amenities of the conversion, the new development, and the number of bedrooms in the new development than they are the impact to the student population of your schools. That's the way the act is written. So it was turned down for reasons other than the increase in population. Remember what I said, 328 units, minimum 2 children per. Where are you going to put them? There's a very large development that is supposedly going to be built in Sayreville. And I'm talking very large, I'm talking perhaps 3,000, 4,000 units. The builder there is contributing $19 million to Sayreville's school system. So I asked at that meeting, is Hovnanian willing to give us money towards our schools to enlarge them, add extra classrooms? And of course, there was no answer. And just a fast fact, Edison last year received a grant of $800 and some odd thousand to add 2 labs and 4 classrooms. South River received somewhere around $300,000, a grant from the state to repair the roofs on their schools. So it's just to show you how we are being taken advantage of by the state. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Klein. Anyone else? Okay, at this time, we will go back to the...
Go ahead.
Do you want to do the public first? Okay, back to the public forum. Again, anyone from the public wishing to speak, please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record.
George Gusselman, 5 Kelly Court, Monroe. Just a brief question in the reorganization stuff about the legal ads. It's written Cranberry Press, Home News Tribune, or the Asbury Park Press. What does the or mean in this? Is this a shell game, or is it going to be in all 3? Why is it or as opposed to and?
Mr. Gorski?
Sometimes due to the timeliness of the legal ads that have to be posted and the advertisement dates to get an ad in, we may choose the most eligible one. Generally, we try to do it in all of them, and it's posted on the district website also.
So if we want to track by the newspapers, we would have to subscribe to all 3? If we wanted to catch everything by that,
No,
that means?
In most cases, they're in all 3.
But
And that's
in most cases?
And that's in requirement with the law. These are the
So the
eligible
or is
lists.
just to leave you a way out in the ruling in case there isn't time permitting?
The law requires that it be published in 2.
Right.
And it would be minimally posted in 2.
So we only have to subscribe to 2. And
It should be in one of them.
I get the picture.
Okay. Anyone else from the public?
Robert Roach, 18 Muirfield Boulevard. Relative to the enrollment schedule, I have a question. I don't understand you have on page 5 of the agenda that was handed out, it has a whole list of schools with students from both Monroe and Jamesburg. Can you explain to me what that schedule represents?
Dr. Hamilton?
Tell me specifically, which item you're referring to, Mr. Roach, please?
It's the enrollment where you have enrollment. You first show the, I guess it is the students from each one of the Jamesburg schools. And then there's another list that following that shows school, then it has, maybe 20, 25, I don't know how many, it says April, May, Monroe, Jamesburg, April, May, difference type of thing.
Yes. The first list refers to those youngsters who are in out-of-district placements, and the report is separated based on whether or not those are Monroe students or Jamesburg students. The next item refers to those youngsters who may be on home instructions and those various reasons.
Right, I understand the home instructions, I guess maybe children are sick or what have you. But why are students going to these schools from Monroe, I guess?
In almost all instances, and I'll tell you what the one exception may be, these are youngsters who have learning disabilities to the extent that we are not able to provide for those services in district. The one exception will be youngsters who may be placed alternatively because they have demonstrated a level of disruptive behavior that warrants an alternative placement.
Okay, the Jamesburg students. Now, I know that Jamesburg, they pay a certain rate, which is a regular rate. Now, are these, is the cost to Monroe, is it higher to send the students to these schools versus over the regular rate that we're charging Jamesburg?
Yes, Mr. Gorski?
Yes, when Jamesburg students are enrolled in any out-of-district placements, the tuition for those placements are the responsibility and have always been previously paid by the Jamesburg Board of Education.
Okay, so all these students, though, Jamesburg is paying for that, we're not paying for that.
That's correct.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Leary?
Take a look at the first of them, and it's actually one of the largest, and that's the Academy Learning Center, which is right here in Monroe. And that building and facility is dedicated to autistic children. They have 150 autistic children for the southern part of Middlesex County. And they have exceptional capabilities. Dr. Solberg, who is the principal, is well recognized throughout the United States as an expert on the training of children with the range of autism. And autism is not just one little thing. It's a whole spectrum of phenomena. And we're 13 or 14 out of the 150. So other school districts are pouring children, and if you drive on Pergola in the morning, you see all the small buses coming in, going right underneath the high voltage power lines, and then swing into the Academy Learning Center.
Thank you, Mr. Leary. And Ms. Faroni?
Just in regards to what the gentleman just asked, Jamesburg does pay that tuition, so I'm not sure why there is a distinction between where the student is from. I mean, they're all Monroe High School students, and we do pay the tuition, so I'm not sure when and why the distinction became evident in the report.
Neither am I.
We'll see what we can do about that.
And when it gets back to the...
Anyone else from the public wishing to speak?
State Supreme Court decision.
Okay, seeing no one from the public, our next scheduled board meeting is... Okay,
I'm
sorry,
Madam
we're
Board
not
President.
adjourning yet.
We've been talking about recouping tuition for folks who have fraudulently or have not been able to prove their residency in Monroe, and we have a settlement agreement that I need board approval on this evening. It's a settlement agreement regarding a matter, and you have a copy of that in your place, where we have reached a settlement between both parties, executed by our board attorney for $5,000, and that payment will be made in 2 installment payments, beginning with the date of the final execution of this agreement and ending on June 30th, 2011. So if you have a copy of that, if a board member could make a motion that we accept this settlement agreement known as Monroe Township Board of Education and Stephen and Michelle Pepe, we could get this matter resolved.
Is there a motion and a second?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Klein?
To accept.
And I'll second it.
Mr. Leary? Any comments or questions for Dr. Hamilton? If not, we'll have a roll call.
Ms. Antelis?
Justine?
Mr. Braverman?
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella?
Yes. Sorry.
Mrs. Ferroni?
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mrs. Koloponowicz?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Tesler?
Yes.
Madam Board President, settlement matter regarding Pepe has been passed.
Thank you very much. Is there anything else?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Public forum is closed, and our next scheduled board meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, June 15th, 7 o'clock p.m. at the Monroe Township High School. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Leary, Mr. Klein, all in favor? Opposed? Abstention? Meeting is adjourned.